Good morning, all. Today we will learn something about the lipids, that is fats. The syllabus expected by the BMS first year student, according to Central Council of Indian Medicine, is adipose tissue, that is information about the adipose tissue, lipoproteins like VLDL, LDL, HDL, triglycerides. So we will see what are the lipoproteins, what is VLDL, what is LDL, what is HDL. But for collecting this information about all these things, we have to learn something about the fats or lipids. Then what are the adipose tissues, and then what are the lipoproteins. So today's discussion will consist of the lipids, adipose tissues and lipoproteins. First of all, tissues. What are the tissues? Tissues are the group of cells comes together for specific function. You are aware that there are four types of tissues in the human body: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. About connective tissue, how many types of connective tissue are there? There are 7 types of connective tissue, including loose connective tissue. Remaining 6 other types of connective tissues are also there. Regarding adipose tissue is a type of loose connective tissue in which the cells called adipocytes are present. These cells are specialized for the storage of triglycerides or fats. Adipocytes are found wherever areolar connective tissue are there, and adipose tissue are good insulators, so it can reduce heat loss through skin. Now here areolar connective tissue is also a type of loose connective tissue. Now there are 2 types of adipose tissues, white adipose tissues and brown adipose tissues. Whatever we have learned so far is about the white adipose tissues, which are in maximum percentage in the adults. The brown adipose tissues has dark color because of the very rich blood supply, along with mitochondria which participate in aerobic cellular respiration. Brown adipose tissues are widespread in fetus and infants. In adult, small amount of brown adipose tissue is present. Now, whenever a person gains weight, the amount of adipose tissue increases and new blood vessels form. Thus, an obese person has many more blood vessels than a lean person. In such a situation, these people cause high blood pressure since the heart has to work hard because long blood vessels are there, and you are aware that the length of the blood vessel is one of the part of the peripheral vascular resistance. If the length of the blood vessel increases, blood pressure also increases. Now about the lipids or fats, both are the synonyms. Lipids or fats are dietary products and makes up 18 to 25% of the body mass. Lipids are made up of the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, but as in carbohydrates, hydrogen and oxygen are not in 2:1 ratio. That's why lipids are not soluble in water. So there are 2 groups always, fat soluble and water soluble. These fats are not soluble in water, we should remember. There are many types of the lipids or fats. Number 1, triglycerides. Number 2, phospholipids. Number 3, steroids. Number 4, eicosanoids. And number 5, other lipids. Now, regarding triglyceride, the functions of the triglycerides are protection, insulation, storage of energy. There are 3 types of the fats: saturated fats, monosaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats depends on what kind of a bond is present inside the cell or molecule. The saturated fat is not good for the health, but monosaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats are beneficial for the health. Now another type of lipid is phospholipid is present in the cell membrane which participate in inward and outward of the cell. Now steroids. There are different steroids: cholesterol, bile salt, vitamin D, adrenocortical hormone, sex hormones. Number 1, cholesterol is precursor cell of the bile salt, vitamin D and steroid hormones. That means bile salt, vitamin D and steroid hormones are prepared from cholesterol. Bile salt is needed for digestion and absorption of the lipids as occurs in the small intestine, which is known as emulsification. Fat digestion is possible. Vitamin D regulates calcium level in the blood and needed for growth and development of the bones. Adrenocortical hormones help in metabolism, stress and salt and water balance. Sex hormones have reproductive functions and to develop sexual characteristics. Eicosanoids help for the blood clotting, participate in inflammation, immunity, stomach acid secretion, airway diameter, lipid breakdown and smooth muscle contraction. Now regarding the other lipids, number 1 is fatty acid which catabolize for the generation of ATP, synthesize triglycerides and phospholipids. There are 3 types of fatty acid: omega-3 fatty acid, omega-6 fatty acid and cis fatty acid. Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are good for health. Cis fatty acids after hydrogenation is slightly harmful to the body. Then carotene. Function of the carotene is synthesis of vitamin A and it is an antioxidant. Vitamin E is also antioxidant, participate in wound healing, contribute to the normal structure and functions of the immune system, and this is also antioxidant. Here I want to explain what is antioxidants. Due to the metabolism or chemical reactions inside the body, many electrons are shed off because they are additional in an atom. These additional electrons create a debris inside the body. These are called as the free radicals which destroy the body cells. Antioxidants are the substances which destroy the free radicals. So, they are very important for us, antioxidants. So, carotene and vitamin E are important antioxidants, we should remember. Now, lipid metabolism. Here, I will just make the slide. You can see lipid metabolism consists of lipid anabolism and lipid catabolism. Lipid anabolism is also known as lipogenesis and lipid catabolism is also known as lipolysis. In lipogenesis, fatty acid and glycerol comes together to form triglycerides. In lipolysis, triglycerides are split into fatty acid and glycerol. Now, insulin participates in lipogenesis and lipolysis is controlled by the different hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline, thyroid hormone, cortisol and insulin like growth factor. Now, what are the lipoproteins? Most lipids are such as triglycerides are non-polar, so they are hydrophobic and do not dissolve in water. To be transported in watery blood, they should be made water soluble with combined with proteins produced by the liver and intestine. Lipids and protein combination is called lipoprotein. Spherical particle with an outer shell of the protein, phospholipids, cholesterol and molecules surrounding the inner core of uh, the cell. I am making just this slide visible for all of you as far as possible. Now in lipoproteins, the protein in the outer shell is called apoprotein and are designated by A, B, C, D, E. In addition to helping solubilize the lipoprotein in body fluids, each apoprotein has specific function. Each of several types of lipoprotein fats have different functions but are essentially transport vehicles. They provide delivery and pickup services so that lipid can be available when cells need them or removed from the circulation when they are not needed. Lipoproteins are categorized and mainly named mainly according to their density, which varies with the ratio of lipids which have low density to proteins which have high density. That means here lipid and protein ratio is calculated. Lipids have low density and proteins have high density. The ratio is from largest and lightest to smallest and heavier. The four major classes of lipoproteins are chylomicrons, very low density lipoprotein cholesterol, low density lipoprotein cholesterol, and high density lipoprotein cholesterol. Chylomicrons. Chylomicrons, which form in the mucosal epithelial cell of the small intestine, transport dietary ingested lipid to adipose tissue for storage. They contain 1 to 2% protein, 85% triglycerides, 7% phospholipids, and 6 to 7% cholesterol, and a small amount of fat soluble vitamins. Chylomicrons enter lacteals of the intestinal villi and are carried by lymph into the venous blood and then into the systemic circulation. This is first lipoprotein. Their presence gives blood plasma a milky appearance, but they remain in a blood for only few minutes. They are not present 24 hours. As chylomicrons circulate through the capillaries of the adipose tissues, one of their apoprotein activates endothelial lipoprotein lipase, an enzyme that removes fatty acid from the chylomicron triglycerides. The free fatty acids are taken up by the adipocyte for the synthesis and storage as a triglyceride and by muscle cells for ATP production. Now hepatocytes removes chylomicrons remnant from the blood via receptor mediated endocytosis, in which another chylomicron apoprotein is docking protein. This is about the chylomicrons. Now let us see about the very low density lipoprotein, which is shortly called as VLDL. VLDL forms in hepatocytes, contains mainly endogenous lipids, that means made in the body. VLDL contains about 10% proteins, 50% triglycerides, 20% phospholipids, and 20% cholesterol. VLDL transport triglyceride synthesized in the hepatocyte to adipocyte for storage. Like kilomicrons, they lose triglyceride as their APO2 activate endothelial lipoprotein lipase, and resulting fatty acids are taken up by the adipocyte for storage and by muscle cells for ATP production. As they deposit some of the triglycerides in the adipose cells, VLDL are converted into LDL. Now what is LDL? LDL contains 25% proteins, 5% triglycerides, 20% phospholipids and 50% cholesterol. They carry about 75% of the total cholesterol in the blood and deliver it to cells throughout the body for use in repair cell membrane and synthesis of the steroid hormone and bile salt. LDL contains a single apoprotein, ApoB100, which is docking protein that bind to LDL receptors of the plasma membrane of body cells so that LDL can enter cell via receptor mediated endocytosis. Within cells, LDL is broken down and cholesterol releases to cells need. Once a cell has sufficient cholesterol for its activity, a negative feedback system inhibits the cell synthesis of the new LDL receptors. When present in excessive number, LDL also deposit cholesterol in and around the smooth muscle fibers in the arteries, forming fatty plaques. They increase the risk of the coronary artery disease, and for this reason, cholesterol LDL is called bad cholesterol. Because some people have few LDL receptors, their body cells remove LDL from the blood less efficiently. As a result, their plasma LDL is abnormally high and they are more likely to develop the fatty plaques. Eating high fatty diet increases production of the VLDL, which elevate LDL level, increases the formation of fatty plaques. Now, high density lipoprotein, that is HDL. HDL contains 40 to 45% of the proteins, 5 to 10% of the triglycerides, 30% of the phospholipids and 20% of the cholesterol. Remove this cholesterol, remove excess cholesterol from the body cells and the blood and transport it to the liver for elimination. Because HDL prevent accumulation in the blood, high HDL level is associated with decreased risk of the coronary artery disease. For this reason, HDL cholesterol is known as good cholesterol. Now, sources of the cholesterol. You might come across many patients who has complained that their cholesterol is increasing, and many times they used to ask, is there any treatment to decrease the cholesterol level? Let us see the source of the cholesterol. There are two sources of the cholesterol in the body. Some present in the food, egg, dairy product, organ, meat, beef, pork and processed foods on the meats. But most are synthesized in the hepatocyte. Fatty acid, they don't contain any cholesterol at all, can still dramatically increase blood cholesterol in two ways. High intake of the dietary fats stimulate the reabsorption of the cholesterol containing biles back into the blood, so less cholesterol is lost in the feces. That is one reason. Another reason is when saturated fats are broken down in the body, hepatocytes use some of the breakdown product to make cholesterol. For these two reasons, fatty acid also sometimes responsible for to increase the cholesterol. As you have seen the sources of the cholesterol, even if the patients who has more cholesterol level do not eat anything, any such a food which increases cholesterol, their cholesterol increases because of the synthesis of the cholesterol in the liver. Lipid profile is an important test which gives so many conclusions about the lipid metabolism. Lipid profile tests usually measure the total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, triglyceride means VLDL, and LDL cholesterol. Then is calculated by using following formula. Low density lipoprotein cholesterol is equal to total cholesterol minus high density lipoprotein cholesterol minus triglyceride divided by 5. Blood cholesterol is measured in mg per dl. For adult, desirable level of blood cholesterol are total cholesterol under 200 mg per dl, LDL cholesterol under 130 mg per dl, HDL cholesterol over 40 mg per dl. Normally, triglycerides are in the range of 10 to 190. As the total cholesterol level increases, the risk of the coronary artery disease begin to rise. When total cholesterol level is about 200 mg per dl, the risk of heart attacks doubles every 50 mg per dl, increasing total cholesterol. If the total cholesterol is in between 200 to 239 mg per dl, LDL of 130 to 159 mg per dl are borderline high. Total cholesterol above 239 mg per dl and LDL above 150 mg per dl are classified as high blood cholesterol. The ratio of total cholesterol to HDL cholesterol predict the risk of the development coronary artery diseases. Now, how this high level of cholesterol is treated? Among the therapies used to reduce blood cholesterol level are exercise, diet, and drugs. Regular physical activity, aerobic and nearby aerobic level raises LDL level. Dietary changes are aimed at reducing intake of the total fats, saturated fats, and cholesterol. Drugs used to treat high blood cholesterol level. Some drugs promote excretion of the bile in the feces, and some drugs like atorvastatin block the key enzyme needed for the cholesterol synthesis. This is about your different types of the lipoproteins. So you have to remember, and today we have learned about the lipids, types of lipids, adipose tissue, information about adipose tissue, then 4 types of the lipoproteins. You should remember that the main function of the lipoprotein is to transportation of the lipids in the blood, and according to their ratio, lipid is to protein ratio, there are 4 classes. Chylomicrons, which remains in the body for few minutes, very low density lipoprotein cholesterol, they are converted into LDL, means low density lipoprotein cholesterol. Then third one is LDL. If they are excess inside the body, they create fatty plaques in the blood circulation, blood vessels. So they are called as the bad cholesterol. And one more, HDL cholesterol, which reduces the amount of LDL, takes the LDL cholesterol to the liver for elimination, is called as good cholesterol because they reduce the risk of the heart disease. You should remember all types of the cholesterol as per syllabus. Then we have also seen the sources of the cholesterol and how the high blood cholesterol level is treated. Thank you very much. Have a good day.